Hi, listeners. Today I'm going to offer you Chapter 5 of Outlaws of the Marsh, the 9 Tattooed Dragons. Well, in the previous chapter, I mentioned that Wang Jin's mother got ill in the morning before they could continue their journey. And now the old master of the big manor said, I know a remedy for heart pains. I will send a servant to town to get medicine for her. Tell her to rest and not to worry. Wang Jin and his mother stayed at the manor, and she took medicine accordingly. Until less than a week, he seemed almost fine, and Wang Jin had to pack their bags ready for leaving. Well, that day, as he was going to the stable to fetch his horse, Wang suddenly noticed in the courtyard a young man practicing with a staff. The young man was stripped to the waist, and his body was tattooed all over with blue dragons. He had a handsome face and was about 19 years of age. Wang Jin watched him for a good while, and then, without thinking, said, You use the stick well, but only there are some gaps in your real technique. You couldn't defeat a real fighter. On hearing this comment, the youth was furious. Who are you? He said. And how dare you mock my art? I have had 7 or 8 famous sifus, and I certainly don't suppose you can do better. I dare you to try. Just before he finished speaking, the old squire appeared. Watch your words, he shouted to the youth. I don't like the way this fellow made fun of my art, the young man said. Do you happen knowing anything about fighting with a staff? The squire asked his guest. Well, this is the answer of Wang Jin. I know quite a bit. May I know who this young man is? He's my son, the squire replied. Oh, so he is your son. Well, since he is the young master of the manor, Wang Jin said, I could correct his martial technique, if you likes. What do you think? Oh, that would be splendid, the squire said happily. He commanded his son to prostrate himself before the teacher. However, the young man refused. His fury was unabated. Don't listen to this fellow's nonsense, father. Until he can defeat me with a staff, I certainly won't pay him respect as a sifu. If it pleases the young squire, Wang said, we could essay a few passes. The youth took up a position in the middle of the courtyard and began to whirl his staff around. Foot, 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 foot. Now that the young man was whirling his staff in the air, foot, 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 as he was switching on his electric fans. This is a very good example. So, when the young man was so near of Wang that he could see him clearer, besides handsome and eye-piercing, the young man really cut himself a dashing figure. His muscular upper body was naked, and his bearing was really awesome. He now cried to Wang Jin, "Come on, come on. The one who's scared is no true hero." Wang Jin only smiled and made no move at all. "Ah, sir," said the old squire, "if you're willing to teach this young idiot, you might as well trade a few blows." Huh? Wang still only smiled. If the young man should take a hard knock, it would seem very impolite of me, he said. "Oh, it's no matter at all. Suppose you should break one of his arms or legs. He would have only himself to thank." "Okay then. So, then forgive my impoliteness," Wang said. He took a staff from the arms rack at the back, and then he placed himself in the middle of the yard and set up a position. He crouched a bit. The young man watched him a moment, then raised his staff and began to attack. Wang Jin parried and broke it off. The young man whirled his staff again and charged. Wang Jin turned and raised his staff in the air as if to strike downwards. The young guy, thinking the blow was coming from above, used his staff to block it. But Wang did not follow the rule. Instead, he thrust out, and then he thrust at his opponent's chest. And with one and the same blow, he caused the staff to fly out of his hands and knocked him over backwards. At this moment, Wang Jin dropped down his staff and rushed forward to lift the young man up, saying, "Forgive me. I'm so sorry." The young man scrambled to his feet, and after fetching a stool for Wang Jin to sit down, prostrated himself. "Sir, everything I have studied with all those other masters was useless," he said. "I'm absolutely no good at all. Sifu, there's no other way. Please, you must teach me." Well, this young man was really something. He now knew that he was wrong all the way. He's got a real master, a real sifu now. From now on, he is the one. He was the one. Well, if you want to learn more, chapter 6 is waiting for you.